Good morning, everybody. I'm jogging around the pool, so you'll probably see a roof go by every once in a while. That's the pool house. But I've discovered I like doing this. I don't know if it's going to become a morning ritual or just a every once in a while ritual when I'm inspired. Interestingly enough, let me throw my headsets over here because I don't need them on. Interestingly enough, I don't really like to exercise with people. But here it is, I'm talking to you. Because really it's like I'm just talking to myself. Oh well, if somebody says they don't talk to themselves, they're lying, because everybody talks to themselves. I need one of those like camera things that attaches to your hat. Remember how they would have those in like reality shows where they would be trying to get them to be scared and stuff, then make them wear a helmet with the camera that went over their face. But I don't know how good that would be with running. But excuse the out of breathness. But this will be on my Insta Live for the next 24 hours. It'll also be on my YouTube channel later this morning. But I recently made the commitment to be a real blogger or a real writer. That's funny to say because I've always been a writer. I was always the person in undergrad and graduate school. Thought I heard something. In both undergrad and graduate school, that when we had group projects, I, number one, was the leader because I had to be in control. But not a dictational leader, like an influential leader. More about that later. But also the editor, because I know APA format like the back of my hand. I know the syntax of how to put things to words together, and it has to be done the correct way, my way. To be honest with you, maybe in undergrad more so, but the professors, I'm not being prideful, I'm just saying that I've thought about it in the papers that I've submitted for graduate school when I was trying to be a clinical nurse specialist and a nurse practitioner, which I haven't finished yet. I don't know if I ever will. I still have 3 more classes. I don't know. It's not really what I want to do anymore. And you don't have to. I've told a couple of my cousins recently who are like 13 or 12 years younger than me, or in their early 20s, at 21. I guess they're not. Anyways, 22, I'm 36. Don't waste your time and your money on college if you don't know what to do. I actually help people create resumes as a resume coach. It's weird because I'm the only RN in the entire company, and it's a reputable company. Most everybody else has backgrounds of either business, but primarily human resources. Not me. Well, I do kind of have some human resources experience because I spent 6 years as a nurse educator in a hospital in Atlanta, and one of the main responsibilities was helping oversee the orientation piece of it. So I'd also participate in interviews and working with HR to come up with better processes for hiring, recruitment, and then even leadership with strategy development. But I digress. And when I digress, sometimes I lose my train of thought. If you saw my live video yesterday, you'll see that, especially when I'm running. But I started writing, and I've always been a writer. And I love to write. Like, I actually love to sit down at the laptop and type things out. I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. I was 11 years old. My parents were, I don't know what they were at the time, but they were some sort of ministers at our church. I think they were both the youth pastors at that time. At one point, they were both the children's pastors. At one point, after that, they were both the youth pastors, which I think that was the case when I was 11. And then a couple years later, my mother was promoted to assistant pastor, and my dad, nothing. So then my mom broke up the church. long story. That's her story, not mine. Well, it is my story. But the story that I'm trying to tell you is I'd be like 11 years old. It'd be in the middle of July, and we'd be at church on a Wednesday night or a Sunday night, or probably a Wednesday night. And I think it was like good family friends and church people then that now have their own church. But after my mom was promoted to assistant pastor, they became the youth pastors instead of my mom and dad. We went to their wedding. I saw her the other day. I hadn't seen her in at least 10 years, maybe 15. She's like, you look so much like your mom. Which my mom is beautiful and I love her, but that's not the look I was going for because the lady had put too much dark in my hair, so I had to go back and get it fixed. Anyways, digress again. But it would be in the middle of July, and I would take, so this would have been like 1992, because I was born in 1980. Excuse me, my nose is always running, especially when I run. And I had this little play laptop thing. I don't even think they had laptops in 1992. But she would ask me, Nikita, she would ask me if I wanted to come over to her house, and because they didn't have kids yet, and like she's the one that first did something with my hair differently than other, just getting a straight trim. Just, I don't know, just come over and, spend time with her. So a good family friend, like an aunt. And I said, nope. I got homework to do. As I clutched my laptop, that was probably just some sort of like a learning game. Yeah, I was odd. I still am. I still take my laptop with me everywhere. We went to meet a new friend that we made recently at the nursing home at a restaurant the other day. Good morning. And I took my laptop with me. I take my laptop with me when we go visit Anna's mom at the nursing home. I take my laptop with me to the doctor's office. I take my laptop with me in the car if we're...
Time, 30 minutes. Distance, 2 miles. Average pace, 15 per mile.
Running out telling me I've only been running at a rate of 15 minutes a mile. I don't care, I'm still doing it. I actually love to run. I used to call it slogging. Slow and long. Because I like to go much longer than just get on there and sprint and then be worn out within 15 or 20 minutes. But I've always been a writer. And I always remember thinking back to Oprah when she would say, what would you be doing for like work? What would you be doing in your life anyways? Like, regardless, like what do you do in your hobbies? And not that every hobby, maybe a hobby is just a hobby, but I never could come up with the answer on this. Like Anna always knew. Anna just has always known her life's direction. I've always known that my life was going to be good and that I would be successful in it. But Anna has a different way of it. Anna always knew that she would be successful and that God would take care of her. And when she was with a girlfriend, long-term girlfriend before she got with me for 4 years, she lived over there like 60 or 70% of the time, but still would go and spend a few nights a week at her mom and daddy's house. Yeah, she calls him mom and daddy. She calls her dad daddy. I've never called my dad daddy ever in my life. It's so endearing to hear her say it, but she was a daddy's girl. But the girlfriend she was with was 20 years older than her. Anna was in her early 20s. And she would ask her, like, well, what are you gonna do with your life? Like, what are you gonna do? And Anna's response always would be, well, what do you mean, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna serve God. That's what I'm gonna do. And that's what she's always done. And it's this quiet confidence. Good morning. This quiet, unrelenting confidence that Anna has, that she knows that no matter what, God's got her. So, but when Oprah would ask that question, well, what would you be doing regardless in your life, even if you didn't get paid for it? I never really could think of it. Like Anna would say, oh, she'll be playing the drums, she'll be singing, she'll be prophesying, she'll be encouraging people. And that's still what she does after always and forever, and she always will. But now I get it. Just like when I was 11 years old, carrying around that toy laptop, which laptop wasn't even a word then, in 1992, when I was 11, to church, telling people in the middle of, good morning, telling people in the middle of church that I couldn't come over to their house afterwards because I had to do homework. And then all these years later, I'm always on that laptop. I bought like a smartphone when they first came out, even before they were called smartphones. So I guess it wasn't a smartphone, but Anna called it a calculator. Or she called it a calculator or a doctor's phone, because that's what it looked like. I've always been into that. And I can sit at a computer and type and create spreadsheets and create PowerPoint presentations and create content and create development. Good morning. Create content. So I guess what I would do, regardless if I got paid for it or not, is I would do something on the computer, creating. And I used to tell my boss, I'm not creative. She's like, finally after a couple months, she said, I don't know why you say that, because you're one of the most creative people I know. But for some reason, I thought the idea of being creative had to do with artistry and, like that typical, stereotypical artist that you think of in your mind. But it doesn't have to be. I'm a verbal thinker. And since I was an educator, I know a lot about adult learning theory. 70% of people are visual learners. You're probably one of these people. You have to see it. If it comes with instructions, you need to be able to read through it, a diagram, somebody show you. But I'm a verbal learner, which only 30% of people are like that. And people have a tendency to teach the same way that they learn. So I love words. But what this means is I like to hear them. You would think verbal learning means you want to see it. You have to hear it. Whenever, and I've always taken notes and stuff in class or in leadership development meetings and stuff like that at work, but I can also just sit there and listen to it. And as long as I can listen to it, I'm good. So when I was a nurse educator, it was really important for us. We would get the new graduate nurses. Each class, we'd have like 3 or 4 a year of like 20 students that had just graduated from nursing school. And they would go through a 12-week orientation where they did some stuff on the floor, meaning the unit, with the patients, and they had a mentor that was teaching them how to actually do the nursing hand stuff. But then we would have classes every Friday on various topics, ranging from, and I was one of 4 main educators, and then we would divide up the topics. So like my specialty was emergencies, postpartum hemorrhage, disorders of psychology, like baby blues or postpartum depression, things like that, and other ones that I can't think of right now, diabetes. But before they ever started these classes, we would get them to take an assessment that would identify what their learning style was. And not just verbal or visual, but there's a whole host of other ones. You can look it up. It's called the ILS, Individual Learning Style. It was made by research through some university. I can't remember what, Iowa? Something. And then we would match if they were a verbal learner and we had a mentor who we also collected what their learning style was. We would match them up together, because again, people teach the same way that they tend to learn. Good morning, y'all. I'm running. This is just me thinking out loud. I'm so glad you joined us. And I run around a pool, so you might see, you're about to see it, the side of the pool house roof go by in just a second, and then you'll see it every few minutes. Well, it didn't show it that time. Maybe I didn't run close enough to it. But just so you know, like, where is she running? So it dawned on me this morning when I was running. If people learn the same way, or teach the same way that they learn, or learn the same way that they teach, in other words, educate, or, interact with people, well, then that's why it makes sense that some people are more drawn to Instagram, which is the most visual social media platform there is, and YouTube and Pinterest, where other people are more drawn to, blogging and WordPress and Tumblr. So that's why I think I'm going to, when I have ideas for blogging in the morning, good morning. When I have ideas for blogging in the morning, which they always come to me the first thing when I wake up and as I'm running, I'm going to talk them through not on YouTube, on Insta Live. And then later I'll post it on our YouTube channel. So it might not have any rhyme or reason to it. It might be all one main thought. It might be thoughts coming together. But that way, when I go to sit down and write the blog later, I would love for you to follow my blog. But if you're not a big reader and you'd rather just listen to it while you're doing whatever, you can do that. For instance, usually if I'm not doing this, I like to listen to books, audible books, or ebooks while I'm running. I love it. I started out running this way in October or November, and it's phenomenal. So, to get to my point, I had to say all that to say this. As I was running this morning, I thought about doing a blog post specifically about me becoming a writer. So I'm just going to kind of tell you about the thoughts that I was thinking, and I'm going to create a blog for it later on our site. The link's in the bio. I hate saying that. I wish I could say something else. But anyways, and that is, I am an obsessive thinker. I wake up in the mornings and I think. The instant that I wake up, I'm thinking. Now, even though I don't practice as a nurse, I am a registered nurse with additional certifications and almost my master's completed, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? The reason I say that is this. I know physiologically that when you wake up in the morning, your feel-good hormones, serotonin in particular, but also dopamine, should be at their highest. So when I woke up with just thinking, and me and Anna refer to it as racing thoughts, like just racing through your mind, thoughts, just from any and everywhere about any and everything. I always thought that meant that I just had low serotonin. I maybe needed to be on something to help stop those thoughts, like intrusive thoughts. Like, I didn't ask for those thoughts, but do any of us ask for thoughts? No. But now I get it. I'm spiritual, not religious. I did grow up in the church, so you will hear me talk a lot about God and Jesus and even the Holy Ghost, because that's what I grew up with. But I don't put God in a box. God is in everything and everybody. He's the one that created all of us. So, If you were born in the
Time,
South,
42
my
minutes, 10 seconds.
Nike app
Distance,
telling me
3 miles.
I've
Average
probably only been
pace,
running about 14 miles.
14.03 per mile.
14 miles a minute. Good. So I can talk. If you were born in the Southeast like I was at the United States, you're probably going to be Christian. If you were born in the Middle East, you probably are going to be Muslim. So it's based on geography. So nonetheless, you'll hear me talking about it, and that's why I'm saying that. But if God, or whatever you call him, the universe, spirit, higher power, if God anoints you to do something, he also equips you. What does anoint mean? Anoint means gifted. If God puts a calling or a gift on your life, he equips you to do it. In other words, think about, I've brought up Beyonce yesterday. That's who can come to mind because Anna keeps watching her Coachella videos. She's like, Beyonce owned Coachella. Yeah, she did. God anointed her with the gift that she has of not just singing, not just dancing, but being an entertainer. That's a whole nother level. Sorry, my nose again is running. So if God wanted her to be where she was, he gave her what she needed to be successful. Yes, she practiced and practiced and practiced. And I've even seen documentaries about her, about how much energy and obsessiveness she puts in to each and every single performance, no matter how small or large. Well, God gave her that. So when I say if God anoints you to do something, he also equips you. That's what I mean by it. If he wants you to be a writer, which I believe that he wants me to be a writer, it would make sense that I would wake up in the morning thinking. What are thoughts? They're words in abstract form. Thinking. Anna, God anointed Anna to be a prophet. If you don't know what a prophet is, it's like a medium or a psychic, a spiritualist. She has the gift of sight, spiritual sight. When she looks at people, she knows their past, present, and future. Not on her own accord. It's by what God shows her. She's also, as a prophet, an extreme encourager. There was a book that came out. I've never read it, but I guess I will, because I've heard her talk about it the entire time we've been together. We've been together for 18 years, but I've known her for 20. About a book by Tim LaHaye that actually is based on psychology. When I briefly Googled it the other week about the different personalities, and she's what you, in this Tim LaHaye calls a sparky sanguine, which if you look at the definition of it, it's like a super over-the-top extrovert, which means when you meet Anna, she makes you feel like you are the most important, spectacular, amazing, beautiful, sexiest, most attractive, celebrated person in the entire world. This causes people to want to be in Anna's life obsessively, to the point of when we got together, cell phones were around, but you just really used them for emergencies, and you put them in your glove box. So you primarily used pagers. So it was right before I turned 19. So this would have been the year 2000. She would get so many pages throughout the entire day, all through the night, because the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in college, that's when we really got together. Spent every single second together. She got so many pages from girls and people, as the Lord liveth, and I say as the Lord liveth instead of like, I swear to God, so I don't like to say that. I don't know if it's any better, it's just what I say. Girls that she had been with, once dated, would come up and knock on her window in the middle of the night at her mama's house. She was 25. Yes, she still lived with her mom because yes, she worked, but part of her work was helping her mom and dad, who were much older than her, and she helped them in the ministry of the church and keeping up with their massive yard and landscape because it was massive, and she loved it and enjoyed it. Her mom wasn't going to do it, and her dad had been on disability from severe rheumatoid arthritis ever since she was 10 years old. So she always had her daddy at home with her. She's a daddy's girl. But yeah, we get so many pages, people coming up in the middle of the night, knocking on her window. I retired her. You gotta retire a player sometimes. We gotta get rid of that pager. But God equipped her to be like that, magnetic. But I said, when you get in contact with her, she makes you feel like you're the most celebrated, loved person in the entire world. But she treats the next person the exact same way. Sometimes this is confusing to people because if they're just in her presence at first, I've even seen this happen to my dad. And again, she makes everybody feel so amazing. And so if it was just like us three, but a few years ago, we went up to my uncle's house, who I was not close with and had not seen in probably 10 years. You'll hear me talk a lot about how I didn't see people for years and years and years because I didn't. Because I felt like people were judging me and Anna and all that kind of stuff and other things with family. Who doesn't have issues with family? Everybody has issues with family. Every single person. Regardless if you grew up in the church like me and Anna did, both of her parents were pastors too, and you feel like it's because y'all were together. But every single time I talk to people about something, they're like, yeah, well, I don't know if I want to go to the Christmas thing because my brother's going to be there, or my uncle, and he's just one of those. Every single time, without fail, somebody mentions about something, about the negative dynamic of their family. So, yeah, I'm sure there are some aspects in the past and probably even still existing, like with my mom, about me and Anna. But you got to keep moving on, because regardless, if it wasn't that, it'd be something else. If I was with a man, my mom might hate that man. I don't know. You can't live your life on what if. So I had to retire Anna from being a player. But God equipped her. He anointed her to be a super extrovert, a people person, a prophet. That is, when he shows her things about people, she can go up to somebody and communicate that to them and give them a word of encouragement. If that's what God's telling her to tell them, it's going to be okay. And she will have people will start to weep. Burger King drive-thru. She just met him 8 seconds earlier. Because when you connect with somebody on a deeply spiritual level, there's no undenying it. So God equipped her with that. Similarly, that's not my gift and that's not my calling, although I have observed her interact with people and being more of a natural introvert and reserved person growing up. I observed her and taught myself how to engage more with people, because it's a valuable tool to have in every area of life, no matter what you do. If you can connect with people, it's life-changing. And I do that. God sometimes will give me words and I'll go and encourage them. Actually, yesterday, I'd finished running. I was getting ready to, before I took a shower, drive up to Subway. They have really good egg white flatbread sandwiches, but I don't think I'm going to go get them for a few days because I haven't put this chipotle sauce on there, and chipotle is like mayonnaise, which is fattening, and I don't want to do that. I know it's not all or nothing, but I just don't want to do it for a few days. But as I was pulling out, good morning, I'm just running around the pool. I run around the pool, even though I live on a big 10-acre farm in Georgia. I know, but it's easier. So I listen to what God or Spirit, whatever you call them, tells me to do. And I felt right at that moment, call your sister-in-law. She needs to be encouraged. Not call her, but send her a quick text, which Sometimes we text, but not often. We usually, we'll like instant message in Instagram or Facebook. And we do that all the time. And we started to get really close over this last 5 months. Even though she's been with my brother for, I think, 9 or 10 years, 8 years, something like that. So I texted her. I just used voice text because I was getting ready to pull out. And I try not to drive and text. I try to be a responsible texter. And I texted her. I said, hey, I love you. I just want to let you know I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy of you. I actually like to say I'm happy of people instead of proud of them. Me and Anna are really funny about words and what we say. So if you look up the definition of proud, it's not really a good definition. So I like to say I'm very happy of you. And I said, I love you. God told me, or whatever you call God, God told me to tell you to be encouraged. Good morning. God told me to tell you to be encouraged. She texted me back and she said, thank you so much. I really needed that. She said, I did need to be encouraged right then. And I told her, I said, I really try to listen to the voice of God. And sometimes it might not even make sense why you're feeling like you need to do something. It doesn't really matter. That's just God or your spirit, the universe, trying to train you to listen to your, some people would call it your gut instinct, to listen to that, because that's who your real person is, your real self. So the same way God equipped Anna to connect with people, He also equipped me to be able to pair words together, both verbally, but also written on written paper, typed out. That's funny, typed out. Who says that? About communicating for impact. So it would make sense that when I wake up in the mornings, I think, because God's giving me ideas.
54 minutes, 22 seconds. Distance, 4 miles. Average pace, 13:35 per mile.
13:35. It started out being 15, but talking to you guys have helped me run a little faster this morning. I don't run to try to race or try to get any time. I just run. Sometimes I do 12-minute miles. Sometimes it's 17-minute miles. Just depends. But God equipped me to do that. So, hence, if you missed the first part of this video, I think that I'm going to start, because when I'm running, I have really good ideas, and I usually like to listen to spiritual or like just all kinds of different books when I'm running. But I'm going to start using dictation to write down some of my ideas for my blogs, and then transfer it to more of a cohesive form in paper later for the blog. I'm going to turn this around and show you guys this sunset, the sunrise.
Pausing workout.
There's a camper on the property too. Is that not spectacular? Let me come over here and show you. I mean, spectacular. There's our horses. Wow. It never gets old. Okay, I'm going to keep running though. So I'm going to use Insta Live stories to actually, I'll stand right here for a second so you can see that sunrise. Use Insta Live stories. I have spinach in my teeth. Why do you have spinach in your teeth? Because I eat spinach in the mornings. So sorry if that's been there all this entire time. I know, isn't that view amazing? I'll show it to you again. I had just showed it. I'll come out here and show it to you guys again. I live on a 10-acre farm, and I jog every morning around the pool because it's easier on my knees and my joints. But it's amazing. God is so cool, or whatever you call God, spirit, universe. It's amazing. But I'm going to start using Insta stories to get my thoughts out as I'm coming up with my idea for my daily blog. Because I'm thinking about it anyways, I might as well use dictation, which I started to do. And then I thought, well, instead of just sitting here dictating to the
Resuming workout.
notes in my phone, God, look at that sun on me. I can just talk to my friends on Insta Live, go back and listen to it as I'm writing out my blog. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm also over on the other side of the barn right now recording and I have been recording an entire view while I've been running of the sun getting ready to come up. So it's now being recorded and I'm gonna post it on our YouTube channel. So I've already posted 2 morning meditations over there. It's not anything like, oh, mantras. I mean, if that works for you, great. That's not what I work. I just like to be still. Like the word says, be still and know that I am God. Just be still. Feel your breath. Just be present. It's amazing what it does for you. I mean, I've always dealt with severe anxiety and depression throughout life. Seriously considered killing myself, committing suicide a couple different times over the years. But God's helped deliver me. But those views, those meditations, spectacular. And I've always been like that. I've always liked seeing, like being where the mountains are, or the sunrise, good morning, or the sunset, or the ocean, because it's majestic and spectacular. And you can be agnostic or non-religious or whatever, but there's no denying that when you're in a moment like that, look at this.
Pausing workout.
When you're in a moment like this, there's no other. It's amazing. It reconnects you to your spirit. There's the barn. It reconnects you to your spirit.
Resuming workout.
So, I'm going to talk to you guys when I'm jogging. Sometimes I lose my train of thought, especially when I pause and do things like that. Oh, I remembered. I'm sorry, I think I have spinach in my teeth and probably some, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it called quinoa? Quinoa? I gotta Google that. I keep saying it wrong, even though Anne's told me 1,000 times how to say it. But I like to eat stuff like that. And legumes and beans before I run, because it's got like massive carbs in it and protein, and it gives you amazing energy. Anna's the one that taught me that. She used to be a runner, like had at Gold's Gym 20 years ago in her 20s. She taught herself how to run 40 miles a week, 5 times a week, 8 miles a day. So you start out very slow, almost to the point just barely above a walk, just trotting. Every few minutes she'd go a little faster, a little faster, a little faster. But she said she would go to Taco Bell before she would go run and get her a bean burrito, and that would help her. So I didn't want to get the bean burrito from Taco Bell, even though I love them, especially with sour cream on it. So I just got the like good kind of beans that are already made, and I eat it before I come out here and run. Hence why there's probably food in my teeth, because I didn't brush my teeth to come out here. But maybe I will start brushing my teeth if I'm going to do Insta stories. Yeah, I will. So I usually do it once I go back in to take a shower. But also on my YouTube channel, I've posted some videos of just the camera sitting there watching the sun come up. And I do this app called Headspace, and there's even just like 1 minute meditations on there. You can go up to an hour if you want to. But if you just even take 1 minute just to like sit and breathe and not think. So I put a 3-minute one up there, and then a 7-minute one or something like that. But the one I've got up there today that I'm going to post later, it'll probably be like an hour, because it was still dark outside when I started it, and now the sun's coming up. So if you want to check out that one, I'll add it to my stories of when it's going to go up. It'll be up in a few hours. All right. So thank y'all for running with me and listening to me. I'm excited though. But whatever, I apologize about my nose running, but whatever your gift is, your calling, remember, regardless of your spiritual beliefs, if you are meant to do something, it will be easy. You'll have energy. I'm not saying that you won't have to put some work in, but doors will open, doors of opportunity. So that's why I said, when God anoints you to do something, he also equips you. If he anoints you, or he gifts you, gives you a gift or a desire to do something, he also equips you. He also gives you the tools, the skills, the people that you need in your life to do that. Don't overthink it, just do it. My piano teacher growing up used to say, not practice makes perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. I disagree. You have to just do it. If you fall down, it's okay, get up and do it again. You've learned something from that. Get up, do it again. I heard somebody saying that, well, even like think of J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter books. How many times people told her no? She kept going, kept going, kept going. One of the most successful authors and richest in history. Keep going. All right, I love y'all. I'll put this up later. Love you, bye.